So we are the IONIS Paris iGEM team, and we are going to present you our project, Software Shock. To develop this project, we form a multidisciplinary team of 20 members. And today, we are 4 members to represent the project. So now, I will let Zoe to introduce you the story of Software Shock.
So, hello everyone. Have you ever wondered what makes France so unforgettable? Could be those golden wheat crops flowing through the wind or the epic Eiffel Tower. But above all, France means sitting on the patio at a corner's coffee shop with that little glass of wine making you feel a bit of freedom. However, French wines are in danger. Extreme climate changes have been putting France's beautiful vineyards at risk for a few years now. This year, the production is estimated to be the lowest since 1945 due to frost and drought in some regions. But not only France is being under alert. Indeed, other world regions have been severely affected by these climatic disorders leading to production losses. Summer heat waves have left the vine completely dehydrated, whereas harsh spring frosts have led to ice crystal formation damaging vines. In order to tackle this issue, we've launched the project Software Shock. The Software Shock technology is pretty simple. It is a 2-in-1 thermosensitive microorganism that we apply on vines' leaves. On the one hand, when the temperature increases above 37 degrees, the microorganism produces white components reflecting light and thus cooling down the leaves. But on the other hand, when the temperature decreases below 15 degrees, the microorganism produces ice-binding protein in order to prevent ice crystal damages. We aim at protecting our heritage. No more wine in France? No way! So, tell us, Agathe, how does it work at the molecular level?
Yes, we are here at the core of the project, the thermoresponsive genetic tool. But its functioning at the molecular level requires a little explanation. So let's begin with the heat-responsive part. For this, we use a red reporter, the red fluorescent protein, NRFP, under the expression of the PR promoter. We also add a CL repressor, which is constitutively expressed. But below 30 degrees, its dimeric form binds to the PR promoter and inhibits its action, so no protein can be translated. As temperatures go really high, the dimer cannot be formed anymore, and the remaining monomers are inactive, so they cannot bind to the promoter, which can be perform its regular action, so the protein can be produced. So to test our system, we designed 2 different plasmids. The first one without the repressor as a positive control, and the other one with our whole heat-responsive part. After the transformation in Escherichia coli, we observed the NRFP expression over time. Unfortunately, the results were not as expected. We observed the same expression between the 2 plasmids at hot but also at cold temperatures. So this could have been due to a lot of things, but it's not such a big problem for us. We know that the C-out system works, as previous iGEM team used it before, but they used it with the PR promoter instead of the PL, so maybe it's a problem of promoter affinity. So we tested something new and it did not work, but we know that we could use another part for this objective. So we did not get discouraged. Let's move to the code-responsive part. For this we used a totally different system based on an existing protein family in Escherichia coli, the cold shock protein, or CSP. These proteins are expressed at low temperatures only. But how is it possible? In fact, it's a combination of several regulatory elements. First, a promoting block allows the constitutive expression of the mRNA, including a long untranslated region. So basically, all the different comes at the translational level under the principle of the RNA thermometer. So under normal temperatures, the mRNA is constantly degraded due to a negative feedback loop. So no protein can be translated. But what happens at cold temperatures is really interesting. First, the negative feedback loop seems not to be active anymore. But also, the translated region takes a particular shape that allows the ribosome binding. So the mechanism underlying this process is still unclear, but it's suggested that a little sequence, called the downstream box, inside of the coding sequence, enhances this process, so the protein can be translated. So we based on this system, but we replaced the CSPA gene by our reporter, the blue chromoprotein amylCP. We're not the first one to use the system, but we wanted to bring something new. So we tried to insert the downstream box inside of the amylCP sequence. But the challenge was how to insert it without altering the protein properties. So that's where the modeling part comes into action. As the protein structure has not been experimentally solved yet, we based on a template that displayed a high percentage of similarity to construct our own homology model. We studied which residues were essential for the protein folding and decided to insert a downstream box after the two first residues. We predicted that it will not alter the properties of the protein, but we wanted to verify this in the laboratory. So we designed two plasmids for that. The first one with the native amylCP protein, and the second one similar except that we inserted the downstream box at the predicted site. After the bacterial transformation, we monitored the coloration given. The first striking fact is that we do obtain blue coloration in both cases, which indicates that despite the presence of the downstream box, the protein is still produced. So that's a good news. But however, we can see a lighter coloration when the downstream box is inserted. So we wanted to ensure that the protein's properties were not altered. We drew an absorption spectrum for both cases. And we obtained the same absorption peak. So this was reassuring and confirmed the modeling predictions. So the protein properties are not altered. But we thought that maybe it was a question of expression level. So we monitored the amylCP expression over 60 hours and observed a slightly lower expression when the downstream box was inserted. So this could be due to a lot of different factors, and in fact it's an interesting research axis to explore. But for our objective, the most important fact was to prove that the right protein was produced. That's what we showed. So we were allowed to test our complete cold responsive parts. We constructed our cold shock plasmid and compared it with the same constitutive amylCP positive control. At high temperatures at 37 degrees, we can see a significant lower expression of the amylCP when it's used by the cold shock plasmid. So that's consistent with what we expected, as the plasmid is supposed to induce the expression at low temperatures only. When grown on plates, no coloration can be seen at 37 degrees. But as we put the plates in the fridge at 6 degrees, we can see a nice blue coloration developing on the plates. So this shows the capacity of the cold shock to induce the protein expression. But we wanted to get a better insight of what happens between those two extreme temperatures. So we drew a temperature gradient from 37 to 12 degrees and observed the coloration given. The results were really interesting toward the mechanism underlying the cold shock response. Indeed, we can see that the expression is progressive as the temperature decreases, rather than following a switch-on, switch-off pattern. But we wanted to go more into details about what happens at the molecular level, and especially in the process of the ribosome binding, so we use modeling again. It suggested that the ribosomal pre-initiation complex contains a protein called the protein S1 involved in the unfolding of the mRNA and the ribosome binding. But it's not really known where on the mRNA this protein is binding. So we took a model of the 5' UTR and the downstream box and explored the possible interactions between the mRNA and the S1 protein. Interestingly, the downstream box seems to act as a binding site for this protein. So this sequence is suggested to be involved in the unfolding of the mRNA and consequently the ribosome binding. So the results are still under analyzing, but it's a promising research axis. So the goal of all this at the end is to solve ions, right? So how can we apply this system for the plant protection?
Thank you, guys. And here we are in the applied design of software shock, where we will try to integrate a molecular mechanism into a real product. So designing the software shock spray required many parameters to consider, and we relied on the literature and scientific experts from the French Agricultural Institute and the French Wine Institute. So the first step is to select and prepare our organism. If we need to use an organism on grapevines to protect them, we need an organism. We need to find it. So where? Well, plant area flora is covered by a rich microbial population. So what we're going to do is to analyze this microbiota and to select an organism from there. After that, we're going to transform it with our optimized plasmid, and then we'll have our chassis. So the reason why we are doing this is because our chassis will be adapted to plant leaves, and also will be able to provide additional services such as plant stimulation. Our organism will then be put in a comfortable capsule with its friends, and the first step will be over. The second step is the software shock application. So let's put our capsule in a specific spray formulation with what are called anti-drift molecules. These molecules limit spray drifting, which is the drifting of the spray, the fact that it can disseminate out of its initial target because of wind. And we don't want that, so that's why we are putting these molecules. Once the spray is formulated, we're going to put it in a specific device called a tunnel sprayer. This device limits spray drifting even more, and will also maximize its application. So the software shock spray will then be applied. Once our organism is on the grapevines, it will begin its action of protection. At 37 degrees and above, it will undergo biomineralization of calcium carbonate to reflect sunlight and cool the leaves down. Under 15 degrees, however, it will express antifreeze proteins that will bind to ice crystals and limit their growth and damages. So, we're going to use organisms that are modified on open field. So, of course, this raises concerns about biosafety. We answer this concern by designing a 4-layer system. Firstly, we're going to make our organism dependent to synthetic amino acid. This is called synthetic auxotrophy. Then, we're going to induce actively the poration of the membrane of the organism in case of emergency. Thirdly, we mentioned that before, but actually selecting a chassis that is adapted to plant leaves is really good for the safety of software shock, because it will not be adapted to other environments such as soil or water and develop oil into them in case of dissemination. And finally, by using anti-drift molecules on the tunnel sprayer, we are limiting the drifting of the spray and increasing the containment of the project. So, we have everything. We have the product, we have the molecular mechanism, but something seems to miss. What about society? How will society react to this project, and what can we do about it? Alicia, can you answer this question?
Yes, Paul. Well, share and communicate what we did in the previous part is essential to build software shock and improve synthetic biology. It's for that this year we thought that it was very important to communicate with industries and engage with the general population, which is the cornerstone of our human project. So now, let's see together our huge adventure. So one of our major objectives was to sensitize students to synthetic biology. For that, we did an oral presentation and we created our own card game. So here, I brought it with me, so don't hesitate to come later and discover this game. Because it's not just for our project, it will be also used for all iGEM projects if they want to promote synthetic biology tools and let students to develop their own creativity and imagination to develop a little iGEM project. What are the rules? Really easy. We gave them a red card which represents the problem that they have to solve. After, they have to pick one of the green cards which represents chassis, and one of the 3 yellow cards will represent a DNA vector that will induce a new property to this organism in order to solve the problem. At the end of the presentation, one member of each team had to present their presentation in front of the class. So here are some pics of a student enjoying and doing teamwork in order to solve this problem. We also had the chance to be invited to several meetups, such as the Parisian meetup, the Lego meetup, and the Parisian Festival of the Science. in which we discuss about our project, we exchange knowledge, and we enjoy all together. And we also organize the iGEM week in our school. It was especially for teachers and students in order to solve the problem about our project, and also to prepare the next generation that will represent our school on the iGEM competition. So here are some pics of our adventures. Well, now let's talk about the jewel of our human practice project, the interactive map. Here we wanted to understand how society perceives GMOs all around the world. So the goal of this map is to share and communicate the maximum of information about GMOs all around the world. What we did is we created a survey that we translated in more than 7 languages, and we spread it all over the world thanks to iGEM teams. We collected and analyzed this data, and we represented it in the map in order to respond to society needs. So here is a little video of our map, so in which you can see that it's composed of 3 main tabs: survey, regulation, and application in 2 domains: industrial sectors and all iGEM projects. So far we have collected enough data for 6 countries, and now we need you to continue help us develop this map, answering the survey for your country if you haven't done it yet. So it was very important for us also to understand how our project will be developed in an industrial scale. For that, we contacted several experts in different domains, such as the climate change expert, the plant protection expert, and the law regulation experts. And we also wanted to be as close as possible of our consumers, the winemakers. And we did it! We achieved our goal! So we met wine growers from all over France and also overseas, such as Mexico, Spain, and Greece, that deal with climate disorders. So we want to thank all iGEM teams, not just for helping us to develop this interactive map, but also to help us to understand how our project will be done overseas. But we also help them to develop their project in the modeling part, in the R&D part, and also in the human practice part. So thank you very much. But well, even if the iGEM is finished for us, we want to continue promoting synthetic biology and sharing our knowledge. We had the chance to meet the Mayor of Paris that will help us to achieve this goal. And we also made a partnership with Europa Bio. And the goal of this partnership is to promote green biotechnology and synthetic biology in exchange of financial support. Great, isn't it? So now I'm going to let Zoe to talk a little bit about the market aspect.
Thank you. So we thought it was really important to think about entrepreneurship part. So we made a market study to gather information about wine economy. Wine economy is really important worldwide, but especially in France. In 2016, wine was the 2nd largest surplus French export sector. This market is worth 10.4 billion euros, which is huge. We also reused the survey of the human practice from the French population point of view, because it was really important to know if our project would be accepted by the French population. What we noticed is that a majority of persons wouldn't be in accordance with the use of softer shock to protect the crops. However, 37% of respondents would use our technology to protect vineyards. Also, about perspectives, after this result from the French population point of view, we can notice that our project might struggle to develop in France. So it was really important to imagine a bioreactor or confined system in order to limitate our organism dissemination. This bioreactor produces the specific compounds when needed. Once they are produced, we can apply them directly on vine leaves. So to conclude, our project reunites many different domains such as R&D, applied design, human practices, modeling, and entrepreneurship. We really enjoy participating to the iGEM competition, and if you want to read more about every subject, you can detail all of them in reading our reports on our websites. So here are all the persons we would like to thank for their help and precious advice. Thanks for listening. We are IONIS Paris, and it was Aftershock.
Thank you very much for that great presentation. Questions from the judges?
Hi, thank you for the nice talk. My question is regarding the heat expression plasmid. Like, what would be the advantage of using your method to produce those reflective compounds versus actually just spraying it?
Thanks for your question. So your question is, what is the advantage of the thermoresponsive system instead of just spraying the compounds? Yet the most important advantage is that the farmer will not have to monitor by itself the temperature changes, and in some regions you have like very rapid temperature shifts. So you can just spread the microorganisms that are thermoresponsive, and they just adapt themselves to the meteorological events.
Thank you.
Somewhat related, I'm interested in the biocontainment. It's very commendable that you looked at the different types of biosafety and biocontainment. Can you talk a little bit about the kill switch?
Thanks for your questions. So the kill switch relies on two different systems. So the first is the protegrin one, which is a protein that will perforate the membrane. So we wanted to incorporate a lactose octron above the protegrin sequence so that when the grapevines are harvested, the vine growers, can just put some lactose on the grapevines, and so it will just die. And also we have another system which is composed of DNase, anti-DNase system, or it can also be an RNase, anti-RNase system, so that the genomic sequence of the microorganism will have an anti-DNA system on it. And in the genomic DNA, in the plasmid DNA, there would be a DNA system or RNA system, so that when there is a horizontal transfer between different bacteria, the bacteria, like the wild type bacteria, will die because of the RNAs or DNAs that is on the plasmid. And we also thought of the Barnard's bar star system for this. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. When it comes to the heat response and the co-response, so you have promoters that are responsive to both conditions. In terms of expressing proteins that do the biomineralization or do the antifreeze function, can you give suggestions for what kinds of proteins you could use in these different scenarios?
We have several axes of research actually. For the heat response, we try to inspire it from the nature. We thought that what daily compounds are white and why are they white. So we have several ideas, such as casein, that is the main protein found in milk. The most important problematic we had with this compound was that it was a nutritive element for use in like fungi growth, for example, in research. So we tried to focus on the more natural elements. So we also found chitin and ketones are really interesting, and it's in fact used by an iGEM team that maybe is here now this year in bacterial production. So this is a polysaccharide found in most shells of insects and other animals. The biomineralization, we found it really interesting because it's already used by some projects. There is a project called Indelab that uses talc powder So we know that it works, and we found some results of envelope that showed that there was a decrease of 2 degrees on the fruit surfaces with this product. So we know that is a promising strategy. So we couldn't go further in the choice of the compounds because a lack of time, but we would require some field tests to really assess which is the most effective.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have, so thank you so much for your presentation.